This is former Mayor John Anderson of Worcester. Nice to meet you, Mayor. I didn't.
Nice to meet you.
What year were you in office?
I was mayor in 1986, which now is 30 years ago.
Wow, no kidding.
Which is a whole generation.
How long were you there?
Just a year. I had been on the city council for a long time.
I see.
I was on the city council for 22 years.
Okay, well, terrific. One thing that we really stood out in your speech, I thought was a very important point that you made, and actually Jim McGovern made a very similar point when we had the 100-year anniversary of the Irish uprising a couple months ago here, that it's not enough just to rededicate monuments from the past. What we have to do is each of us individually have to rededicate ourselves to the principles that matter. The reason why these people gave their lives, that's what's important, not a piece of stone over here.
I agree very much with that. That's the point I was trying to make.
Very important.
That we're not just honoring past deeds, that we're finding in those deeds something that should inspire us and get us to do things in our day. And I think it's possible to come to an understanding of why they were willing to sacrifice their lives for things. And we don't have to do that. We're not asked to do that. But we are asked to do something like that, to at least accept the
Well, when you look around,
concepts.
when you look around today and see the condition, our country's got a lot of turmoil right now. It's
Absolutely.
actually not unlike the 1850s when Massachusetts passed the Personal Liberty Act, which essentially repealed the Fugitive Slave Act.
Right.
So, I mean, we're kind of leaders here in Worcester. We have the 1774 Revolution. We have a history, a proud heritage of standing up and doing the right thing when the chips are down, taking the right side of history. So what can today's politicians do to rededicate themselves to these principles?
Well, I tried to make the point we need to have respect for one another, and I think that's a starting point, that we have to respect other points of view, not fly off the handle because somebody said something we disagree with, but rather to respect them having a right to do that, but to try to talk with them about why we think differently. You know, it's probably not the best verb to use, but to argue with one another to a point where we can find a common basis, common understanding.
Now, the oath of office and the constitutions are something that kind of like the glue that have held us together all these years, despite all the problems that we've had. So I would say one of the best things that all politicians at every level can do today is just rededicate themselves to that oath.
Absolutely. You take the oath each time you enter office, and it is important to think what you're saying, not simply to say it,
right,
but to think it. And then as you get inaugurated, to think it again. But I think you're right, and maybe every once in a while we should take out that oath and read it and see what it says and try to remember that. And just to read things. Read the Declaration of Independence, read the preamble to the Constitution. You know, we the people of the United States in order to form a more perfect union.
Sure, this is how we stay in touch with the principles.
Read, somebody quoted Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. Read that. It's only 3 minutes long. Read his second inaugural, which is a tremendous address. So because I'm a historian, so I have to believe that history teaches. I teach history, but
and those
history
who don't learn from
teaching
history, those who don't learn from history are
condemned
doomed
to repeat it.
Right,
Yeah.
so very
Yeah.
important. Thank you very much
All
for
right,
your time,
you're welcome.
Mayor.
Thank you.
And thank you for your service.
And what's act now? Tell me.